Now, another type of security threat are ones based off of natural threats, which could include the old-fashioned and good reliable earthquakes, as well as hurricanes, floods, and natural disasters. These typically we don't have any control over. Information damage or any type of loss can't be prevented for obvious reasons. However, you can go through and create some plans, policies, procedures, put those in place to help protect against these natural disasters. So then we also have physical threats. Physical threats, we might actually see theft as an issue for us. We've talked about theft already, but also impact. And when we talk about impact, I'm not talking about the impact that the theft has or that it may have on the business, even though that is an issue, but I'm talking about dropping a laptop or a frustrated employee, or my favorite, dropping a cell phone in a toilet. How do you recover from that information loss? Also, power. We know about power surges, getting too much power coming down the line, affecting data and destroying data sometimes, but also brownouts. Brownouts are actually as dangerous as a power surge. This is where the power dips and in some cases puts stress on the components. And of course, we also have end of life. Now I'm going to slow down here for a second because I want to talk to you about end of life. End of life is what do we do with systems as we retire them, as we decommission them. Well, I know a lot of companies go through and do some really cool things. Sometimes they'll donate old hardware to some charities, and I think that's great. Or they might actually put them up for sale to their employees so that they can take a system home. Or they might just throw them away. And in some cases, they may even just return them, especially if it's like on a lease. Now, my question I have for you is, what are you doing to protect yourself with the data that was stored on the drives? I really don't care about memory. I really don't care about video cards or motherboards. It's where I store my data. Even if you go through and format hard drives, that's not going to protect you. Trust me, I've got fun little tools that'll go through and recover data from a formatted drive. I actually saw a really scary news story where they were talking about copy machines. And back in the old days of copy machines, we'd put our master up on top, or the original up on top, and you'd see the light bar go across, and it would scan the master, and then a page would print out. And then the light bar would go again across, and it would print out another page. And it'd keep doing this. So if you had 50 copies, that light bar went across 50 times, and it created a copy. Well, as technology expanded, they started installing hard drives into copy machines. And so nowadays, we see the light bar scan once, and boom, 50 copies come right out. And that's because it stored the data on the hard drive and just reproduces it based off that image. The issue is, and this is what we saw in the news story, is that when the copiers come off lease, they go back and are sometimes resold. Well, one of the biggest purchasers of remanufactured copy machines is China. Yeah, do the math there for a second. They're the biggest one. I shouldn't say that they're the only one. But what an interesting concept. And in fact, in the story, they went and they purchased a copy machine at an auction. They went through, pulled the hard drive out, mounted it up with some software, were able to pull off the images. And the images, the copy machine had been at an attorney's office. And they were able to pull off tax returns and a ton of legal information. They actually contacted the legal firm to let them know what had happened, to make sure that they were covered. So I'm a real stickler when it comes to hard drives, and I've seen some really cool solutions to this when it comes to end of life. Several government agencies that I've done some training for, I always ask, so what do you guys do about end of life stuff? And they tell me that there was one particular facility, they had a big machine press, and they could stack 5 hard drives on top of each other, push a magic button, and it squished became basically 2 hard drives. Yeah, not really, just squished it down to that size. And they totally destroyed. They never allowed hard drives to be reused. So when you start to think about end of life, you need to think about where is it going and what information could be on there. Again, I'm more concerned about the hard drives than I am anything else. Nothing else is going to store data.